Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for choosing to spend your Wednesday with us. We are super excited to give you a little bit of insight into our Northwestern community and our Northwestern experience. My name is Kylie Bruss. I am an admissions counselor in our Office of Undergraduate Admissions, and I'm also currently a graduate student at Northwestern studying higher education administration and policy in our School of Education and Social Policy. I'm originally from the suburbs of Chicago, so a local student. But I'm not alone today. We are going to also have a bunch of awesome current students on board to answer your questions and to give you even more of a look into this Northwestern experience. So I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves really quickly, starting with Chris.
Hey everyone, I'm Chris. I am from Houston, Texas, and I actually just graduated from Northwestern. I studied social policy, and something I did while I was a student and that I'm continuing to do now is I was a part of the triathlon team, and will be competing in more triathlons with the team in the upcoming year. I'm going to pass it on over to Natalie.
Hi everyone, my name is Natalie. I'm an incoming senior in the School of Communication. I'm double majoring in theater and religious studies. And one thing I do on campus is I'm the artistic director of Lipstick Theater, which is Northwestern's feminist theater production company. And I'll pass it on to Margo.
Hi everyone, my name is Margo. I'm a rising senior from Portland, Oregon, studying industrial engineering and computer science. And when I'm not in class or giving tours, you can catch me working at our media and design studio here on campus. So let me pass things over to Alexis.
Hey everyone, I'm Alexis. I'm also a rising fourth year here at Northwestern, which feels crazy to say. I'm a fourth year student in the Weinberg College of Arts and Sciences studying English literature and psychology. And when I'm not working in the admissions office, you can find me on the exec board of NU World Cup. So I'll pass it on to Ben.
Hi, I'm Ben. I'm from Eden Prairie, Minnesota, and I'm going to be a rising third-year student at Northwestern. When I'm not giving admissions, or I'm a journalism and poli-sci double major with an integrated marketing communication certificate, and when I'm not working in admissions, you can find me playing music at our college radio station, WNUR 89.3.
Awesome. Thank you so much to our amazing students for introducing themselves. So a little bit of breakdown on what to expect for our time together. I'm going to go ahead and give us a brief overview of Northwestern, just giving you some of the main points and tips. And then after that, we're going to open it up for a Q&A. So if you have any questions during the time that I'm talking or anything that pops in your mind, go ahead and just drop those questions in the chat box and we'll get to answering them once I'm done talking and once we switch to the panel. So first things first, just a little bit about Northwestern. We are located in Evanston, Illinois. It's the first suburb north of the city of Chicago. So we have a really awesome location where we're located right next to the amazing city of Chicago, but also in our own college town. A few amazing things about Northwestern. One of my favorite things is really the flexibility of the academics here at Northwestern. We have a 6-school model where students are welcome to take courses across all 6 schools, no matter what school they're enrolled in. So our first and largest school is our Weinberg College of Arts and Sciences. About 50% of our students have their home school is in Weinberg, and this ranges in everything from history, English, psychology, economics. It's really kind of like the hodgepodge general liberal arts area. We also have our McCormick School of Engineering, which is our engineering school as well as computer science, and it really takes a whole brain approach to engineering. We have our Beanan School of Music, which is our conservatory style school of music. We also have our School of Communication, which ranges in majors from communication studies to theater and dance. Our Medill School of Journalism, which Ben mentioned he was a part of, has our longest name, but it just has one major, and that being journalism. And then finally, our School of Education and Social Policy, which is our smallest school, starting with about 50 first-year students every year. But over the course, we graduated about 150 fourth-year students. A lot of students actually end up changing their major into the School of Education and Social Policy or adding a major within CESP, which really does speak to that flexibility across our 6 schools. When you apply to Northwestern, you do select a school and a major that you're interested in studying, but once you are a Northwestern student, you are more than welcome to and more than able to transfer between those schools, add on additional majors and minors, and even take courses outside of your fields of study, just to provide that flexible and interactive academic experience. In addition to this academic component, we really thrive off discussion-based classes at Northwestern. We really believe in that small discussion-based group in order to share everyone's thoughts and ideas in the classroom. And this is not only for the benefit of academics, but also for the benefit of our students to share their own diverse perspectives. We have students coming from all 50 states, over 175 or over 75 different countries. So there are so many different outlooks on the world, on life, on academics, on the things that you're learning in your classroom. And in those discussion-based sections, we really allow our students to communicate with each other, share their ideas with their peers, with the faculty members. And we really, really strongly believe in this philosophy of having that learning experience. Addition to that, I mentioned that our students can have flexibility between the majors they study. Kind of really fun statistic is that about 70% of our students do study more than one thing, whether that be a double major or adding on a minor during their time there. That flexibility within our schools really allows our students to have the opportunity to pursue anything that they're interested in academically. And a major reason why they're able to do this is because we have something called the quarter system. So at Northwestern, our academic calendar is surrounded by this quarter system. It's a little bit different than other quarter system schools, and it's very different than your traditional semester school. At Northwestern, our academic year starts in the fall quarter in about late September, where students will take classes from September until winter break for about 10 weeks. Then students will come back to classes after the winter break for the winter quarter between January and March. And then we have our spring quarter from about March till mid-June. So those are the 3 main quarters where most students, pretty much all students are on campus taking classes during those 3 quarters. We also do have a summer quarter, but during the summer quarter, students are not typically on campus taking classes. While that is an option, more students are typically out and about in Chicago, Evanston, other parts of the country, or even the world, experiencing applied learning experiences, whether that be through research, study abroad, internships, whatever that may be. That summer quarter is typically used for out of the classroom learning. And like I mentioned, that learning can happen right in Chicago, right next to where we're located. So like we are located in Evanston, Illinois. We're really lucky to have such an exciting and vibrant college town. All the Evanston community members are happy to have their Northwestern students here. Most of the stores and restaurants, you can actually get a discount with your wild card. The community is safe and welcoming, and it really is the quintessential college town. But what makes Evanston even more amazing is that we are located just 3 miles from the border of Chicago. So even though we're 3 miles from Chicago, it's about 13 miles to the really central downtown that you would think about of Chicago when you think about the Bean and Millennium Park and things like that. And our students have a lot of different opportunities to get downtown and use those resources, whether it be for a professional experience like an internship, research, or whether it just be for fun to go explore the food scene in the city or go to different various events like the theater or sports games. There are two public forms of transportation that students commonly use. That could be our L, which is like our subway system here in Chicago. We also have our metro train, which is the normal commuter train. But because here at Northwestern, we have not only our Evanston campus, but our graduate campus downtown in Chicago, we also have something really unique called the Intercampus Shuttle. And this is a bus system that's only for Northwestern community. You have to show your Northwestern ID to get on the bus. And it actually does a reoccurring loop from Evanston to Chicago. And there's Wi-Fi on the bus. And it's just a really quick and easy way for our students to be connected, again, with that Evanston and Chicago community. So that's a little bit of background about our community and the academics at Northwestern. So I'm going to go ahead and switch gears to talk more about admissions and financial aid. So first things first, when it comes to applying to Northwestern, you have the choice to fill out two different applications. You'll either select the coalition application or the common application. Both of these are online application portals that you'll work with your college counselor to fill out and provide all of your information on. And you can actually apply to a lot of different schools from the same application. And once you've selected the way that you're going to submit the application to us, we'll work with your high school counselor to attach your high school transcript. And so what this transcript is going to tell us is the courses that you took during high school, the grades you got in those courses, the level of those courses, and things like that. But the really important aspect that goes along with this transcript is actually something called the school report. So your high school guidance counselor, in addition to your transcript, is going to send this school report, which provides us an overview of your high school. What courses were offered, the size of your high school, where your high school is located. Did you have the opportunity to take AB, IB, and honors, or were those not available to you? And the reason why this is so important is because it provides us context into where your application is coming from. Here at Northwestern, we complete a holistic review process, which means that we're looking at all aspects of your application within the context that we're receiving them. And that school report is a big piece of that context. The next thing that you're going to add to your application is going to be a test score. With the current COVID-19 pandemic, we have released a test optional policy for the upcoming year. And you can actually find additional information about the details of that in one of our more recent blog posts on our Northwestern admissions blog page, which will actually pop in the chat in a few minutes. In addition to test scores, we will ask for essays. So the first essay is going to be kind of that general college essay that you're sending to multiple schools, where you're given a prompt from either the coalition or the common app, and you'll write that story. And the second is a supplemental essay, and it just asks the question, why Northwestern? So in this supplemental essay, you'll have the opportunity to explain to us why you're applying to Northwestern, why you think Northwestern is the school for you, and what special connection you experience between yourself and Northwestern, and how you can achieve your education and career goals here at Northwestern. A really important thing about the essays is this is the opportunity for you to share your voice with us. I always like to give the helpful hint that if you were to drop your essay on the floor of your high school and your best friend were to pick it up without your name at the top, they should be able to read the essay and know that you're the one speaking and sharing this story. Because again, we really want to hear your voice. We want to get to know who you are as a student. And the final component of the application is going to be at least 2 letters of support. So we request that you send at least 1 letter of recommendation from your guidance counselor and another from a core subject area teacher. You can submit more if you would like. Again, another opportunity for us to hear from important people in your life, people that you have relationships with and connections with, maybe a teacher, a coach, someone you volunteer with, a boss, whoever that may be, just who speaks to another aspect to who you are as an individual. So once you have all of those components wrapped up into the pretty little application package, we have 2 different deadlines that you can choose to apply by. The first is our early decision November 1st deadline. So if you are decked out in purple, ready to go, know Northwestern is the place for you and ready to make that commitment, you can apply to our November 1st early decision deadline, which is a binding agreement. you'll actually sign a document with yourself, your parents or guardians, and your guidance counselor, which is committing, saying that if I do get accepted to Northwestern, I will attend in the coming fall. If that commitment seems like a little bit too much, you're still going through the application process and you kind of want a little bit more time to make your decision, that's completely okay. We also have our regular decision deadline on January 2nd, where you can submit your application. It is non-binding, and you can, once you hear your admissions decision, you still have the time to make that choice on your own. It is non-committal. So that kind of wraps up the admissions piece of Northwestern, but there's one more really important piece that goes along with it, and that is financial aid. Here at Northwestern, we're really, really passionate and excited about the fact that we're able to offer, we're able to meet 100% of demonstrated need completely loan-free. We've done that by allocating over $190 million to financial aid for our students in order to make Northwestern an attainable and an accessible and feasible academic experience for all of our students, no matter where they're coming from. And because of this, we've been able to reach 20% Pell Grant eligible. How this works is that when you're applying to Northwestern, you will sit down and you and your family members will fill out a FAFSA and a CSS profile. These are two financial forms that will come together and provide your family with an expected family contribution number, an EFC. What this number means is it's telling you that based on these forms that you filled out, your family is expected to contribute X amount of dollars for your students' academic experience that year. So let's say if you do these paperworks and your expected family contribution number comes back as $20,000. That means that your family is expected to contribute $20,000 towards your academic experience for that year. Any cost of attendance beyond that $20,000, it's what's going to be covered in that financial aid package, and it's going to be loan free. So it's scholarships, grants, work study, not money that you will have to pay back to Northwestern. Like I said, we're really proud of this, that we're able to offer to our students in order to make Northwestern an accessible education. And I know that financial aid can be a little bit tricky, and everyone kind of has their own experience with that. So we actually do have a net price calculator on our website, which can be really helpful. It takes about 10 or 15 minutes to fill out just with one tax form. And it gives you a really close estimate to what that EFC may look like for your family. Our financial aid office at Northwestern is also a really helpful resource. You're more than welcome to email them, give them a call, and they're happy to answer any questions that you may have. So that wraps up all the little basic intro to Northwestern. I hope that was helpful, and I hope that generated some questions in the chat. We are going to go ahead and switch gears to our Q&A panel, where I'm going to be the moderator, and I'm going to be asking our students who introduced themselves earlier some fun and exciting questions that you have all provided us. So we're going to go ahead and start with the question about research. So Natalie, would you mind telling a little bit about your experience with research at Northwestern and kind of what that has been for you?
Yeah. So I've worked a lot with the Office of Undergraduate Research, which is actually just one of the different areas you can do research at Northwestern. So I'm going to talk about the office, and then I'll briefly describe the other options. But basically, the Office of Undergraduate Research is an office with tons and tons of funding that is specifically for student-driven projects. You can get $3,500 for an 8-week grant period over a summer, or you can get $1,000 for a grant period during a quarter of the academic school year. And all of that money is for you to put towards a project that you have created in any way you want to use that money. You could use it to travel overseas over the summer to do research in a different country. You could use it for actual materials if you need to like put chemicals together, anything like that. It's up to your discretion. And these projects, as I said, are completely student driven. You'll have a faculty advisor and you'll have a peer mentor who has worked in the Office of Research before, but it's pretty much you as the student say, I want to research XYZ, you write up a proposal, and if they think it's a strong proposal, they will give you the money. There's no limit to the number of grants they give out each year, so you're not even competing against other people. If you write a strong proposal and they want to fund you, then they will, and you have $3,500 to do any project of research of your choosing. If you're tuning out because you're in the arts, don't. Research is for you as well. I promise. I'm a theater major. If you want to do like more traditional research with the research grant, you absolutely can. But there are tons of opportunities in creative arts, journalism, literature, everything like that. Last summer, I got a $4,000 grant to research the life of Anna Amalia, who was a princess of Prussia in the 1700s and a flute musician and composer and music collector. And I wrote a play about her life. I was able to travel to Germany and Austria to do research there. And an excerpt of that play was recently in the Undergraduate Research Office Creative Arts Festival. So all of this is to say that research is for everyone, and there is plenty of opportunity and ample funding for you to do your own student-driven project if you want to do research in that way. There's also a number of different ways of getting involved in a research lab and working under a professor. That's a more like traditional research experience that you might get. And that's definitely an option if you want it as well. And typically those positions are paid through various grants through the different schools and through the Office of Research.
Thank you so much, Natalie. Super helpful information. Alexis, would you mind talking a little bit about the process of switching majors and how easy that may be and kind of how you go about sitting down with your advisor and starting that process?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So before I talk about switching majors, I'll just talk about declaring them really fast. So you don't have to declare a major until you're finishing your second year here at Northwestern. And that process is actually surprisingly easy. All you have to do is meet with an advisor in whichever department you want to declare in. This works the same for minors as well. You sign on a piece of paper after they've given you instruction on what will be required of you in order to attain that major or minor. And then you submit that form to the office that manages those things for whatever school you're in. So for Weinberg, it's just right in the middle of Sheridan. You just drop it off in a bin and the major is declared for you. That reaps some benefits for you where you get pre-registration for whatever you have declared. So that's very convenient if you're trying to get either into intro courses or into courses that you find maybe selective. And then if you want to switch, that's also really easy. So you can, again, meet with your advisor and you can change a major to a minor, or you can drop it completely. And then you can simply pick up another major in the same way that you wanted to pick up the first one that you did. And there's really no penalty in this regard. One thing that I like to mention to people a lot, since I know that a lot of people either may not know exactly what they want to do for the rest of their lives already, which is like totally reasonable. When you get to Northwestern, they make such a concerted effort to make every class you take beneficial for you. So everything that you do will either be helping you just with a credit requirement, or it could even be a distribution requirement, or it's going to just be doing something for you to push you towards graduation. So when you switch, it's actually really easy and it doesn't hurt you at all. I've known people who have switched twice in their senior year and still graduated on time with no problem. So hopefully that quells any fears that people have about switching majors. And I just one more time like to reinforce the flexibility Northwestern allows you with your course load. Taking 12 classes a year on average, 4 classes each of the quarters, excluding summer, will allow you to have those 2 extra courses up on like semester schools, traditional education wise. And it'll also allow you to, pick up those extra things that you want to along the way.
Thank you so much, Alexis. Another really important aspect of the college experience is obviously that living environment. Here at Northwestern, we are proud of our residence life experience. So Margo, would you be able to tell us a little bit more about that residence life experience and then also share what your favorite aspect of living on campus was?
Yeah, absolutely. So res life at Northwestern, as Kylie mentioned, is really a very big part of like your first social life here when you get to campus. I know at least for me personally, it absolutely was. And so the way that on-campus living works at Northwestern is that we have 3 sort of different levels of residential life. The first being residential halls. This is pretty standard, what you think of when you watch college movies, things like that. There's obviously a lot of programming that's being thrown for residential halls as well, but it's probably the least involved level of residential living here on campus. Next, we have residential communities, and residential communities will have a live-in faculty member that will specifically throw on programming for all of the students who live within that residence hall. This will provide just a little bit of a stronger sense of community within your residential hall. It's a really great way to sort of meet people and get involved those first couple of quarters here at Northwestern. Finally, at sort of the highest level of engagement is going to be residential colleges. Residential colleges will all have a specific theme. You don't have to be majoring in whatever the theme of your residential college is. Really, the main point there is that everyone who lives within a certain residential college will have some sort of passion or interest in whatever that college is about. So for example, my freshman year, I lived in the Ayers College of Commerce and Industry, which is just a fancy way of saying a dorm where people are interested in business of some sort. Again, I'm majoring in engineering. My next door neighbor roommate, I guess, was majoring in English. So it's not like everyone is majoring in like economics or something more business focused. It just means we all sort of share those same passions. Also here at Northwestern, we do something called residential neighborhoods. And what that means is that instead of just having individual residence halls sort of sporadically placed around campus, they're sort of formatted in little clusters, geographically speaking. And what this means is that if, let's say, my dorm was throwing on a bachelor movie night or something, residents from all of the surrounding dorms could also come join and participate in that programming there. Also, if one dorm has a gym, students from all the other buildings in that residential neighborhood also have access to that gym. So really what this means is that even if you perhaps choose to live in a smaller dorm because you don't necessarily want a giant 400-person dorm your first year, you still really get to extend your community with those other dorms that are nearby. So really residential life at Northwestern is very, very inclusive. It's how I made some of my closest friends that I still see today, even going in as a senior next year, and is a really valuable component of campus.
Perfect. So we talked a little bit about learning inside the classroom and how there's also those outside of the classroom learning experiences. So Ben, would you mind talking a little bit about how the process of finding an internship works at Northwestern and about NCA?
Yeah. So NCA is Northwestern Career Advising, and they basically, when you get to Northwestern, you have academic advisors for each of your majors, minors, or certificates, and you also have an NCA advisor who is your career advisor. You can schedule online appointments. Right now with COVID-19, everything is online, so I can just schedule a Zoom call with my advisor, meet with them, discuss my resume, discuss cover letters, go on Handshake, which is our online internship search tool kind of, or job opening tool search tool. And companies will post job openings there. You can explore those on your own or with an advisor. They also offer things like for unpaid internships, it's called SIGP, and it's a $3,000 grant that basically NCA pays to students who get unpaid internships, and that $3,000 stipend allows them to go and pursue that unpaid opportunity, because a lot of times students can't afford to say go live in Washington DC and work for UNICEF without a paycheck every week. And so I actually qualified for that last year, and I did that at a place in Minneapolis, close to where I'm from. And along with NCA, a lot of schools will also have individual advising for internships and job opportunities. For example, Medill also has advisors that will help with, we have a journalism residency program, which is a required internship, or I guess you could call it a practicum. I know that CESP has a similar one, where for 1/4 of your time at Northwestern, you need to participate in partnered business with the school in some sort of internship or kind of apprenticeship at that place. And those advisors help match you with your preferences there. And yeah, that's what I would say.
Thank you, Ben. Switching gears back to inside of the classroom, Chris, can you speak a little bit to how accessible professors are and your ability to interact with them while you're in class and outside of class?
Yes, so the professors at Northwestern are really cool, and that they are usually like great professors too, but outside of the classroom, they always have opportunities for you to go and speak with them. So for example, a lot of professors, if not all, will have office hours, even in the larger classes. An example I can give for this, my first year during fall quarter, a group of friends and I took an introduction to sociology class, which was such an amazing class, and that we learned about all of these concepts that I had never been exposed to. But I definitely was confused for a large part of it. And it was overwhelming for me because the class had over 170 people in it. So I didn't think that it would be worth my time to go to office hours. But the professor just started talking about how cool it was to come and visit him and how he actually like wanted to see students. Um, and so I ended up going with my friends, and he made us tea. He had cookies and salted caramel, little chocolate bites. And we just talked about life. And he really did want to get to know us as students and figure out like where we're struggling. And so at the end of the quarter, he could say, as I turned in my final, "Oh, great job in the class, Chris," because even though it was such a large class, he still took the time to get to know me. And there aren't many large classes at Northwestern. Something we always talk about is the 6-to-1 student ratio. Um, so even in those smaller classes, I know for me in CESP, we had a lot of small seminar style classes, and the professors really tried to interact with us inside of the classroom, but also we're all on the same campus and it's not that large. And so it'd be nice to just walk around campus and just see a professor and be able to smile and say hi. And I know that's not just my experience here. It is so easy and accessible to get to professors. And when a professor might not have that much time, whether it be because of a big class or research that they're working on, the classes mostly have TAs as well that are graduate students who are basically experts in that class, and in their field. And those are the people who are sometimes grading your assignments as well. So it's always been nice to be able to reach out to them, especially if you're struggling in a class and you went to the professor and it wasn't as helpful as you had hoped. Usually, just having that second person to explain something to you a little differently makes all the difference in a class. So yeah, professors are great. The TAs are great. It's just a great experience.
Thank you. We also mentioned our quarter system, and obviously you can kind of tell that moves a little bit more fast paced. So Alexis, would you mind speaking a little bit more to your experience with the quarter system and how that has an impact on the balance between your academic and social life?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So naturally, the quarter system allows you to take more classes, and that's one of its like greatest benefits is that you're getting 12 classes versus 10 in a calendar year. However, that does mean that you're taking 4 classes on average each quarter, and sometimes within 9 or 10 weeks. That can definitely feel fast-paced. What I like to say about it is that it makes the class, for somebody like me, it really works. I'm very good like with deadlines and stuff like that. I don't like seeing things that are like too nebulous and too far away. So when I have, like 3 assignments for a class, for example, like in the English major, you'll have like maybe like 2 papers and then a final paper or something like this. Knowing that they're coming consistently really keeps me on track with my workload and stuff like that. There are times, admittedly, where things can become stressful, especially when you're nearing either midterm season, because all your midterms are probably happening around the same time, and it probably came at you within like 3 weeks or 4 weeks of content. But realistically, you get true breaks here. So whenever you're done, you're truly done, which is really nice. I think it's the best way to like take classes. What I mean by a true break is that you don't like go home to continue studying and then come back to resume the same class once you take a break. For example, spring break, winter break, etc. Those are true. So summer. But what I'd say about the quarter system is that I've kind of taken advantage of it in some ways. Like I've taken classes that were purely out of interest. And it hasn't set me back at all graduation wise because I was still able to knock out my distribution requirements and the requirements that I had for my 2 majors. And I'm graduating on time. So I think that that's really like what you can get out of it is what you're willing to like put into it. And then you can also not feel like pigeonholed, like, oh, if I want to take 2 majors, I need to be taking fully major requirement classes every quarter forever if I want to graduate on time. I know people who have 3 majors and have graduated on time. I don't know how they like made it through, but I mean, it's possible, I guess, if you're willing to put in the work. So I'd say overall the quarter system is a net benefit to you. But also just be aware that like building strong study habits and like time management skills are like crucial to making it work for you the way that it can.
Thank you. Natalie, do you mind sharing with us if like 1 or 2 of your favorite Northwestern traditions?
Yeah. So one is painting the rock. If we're ever allowed back on campus, fingers crossed. There's a big rock in the center of campus, and it's a tradition to paint it. It's been painted for things like Mother's Day. It's been painted for tour guide applications. It's been painted to advertise, come see this play we're putting on. So it's pretty much, it can be painted for anything, but the rules are you have to guard it for 24 hours before you paint it. And you have to paint it at midnight. And there's actually a live stream to the rock. So you can go to Rock Cam if you just Google it, and it will like show you a 24-hour feed. So you can make sure that people are actually guarding it. I haven't painted it yet, but I'm really hoping to be able to go back to campus and paint it this year before I graduate, because that's like, you got to do it once in your time at Northwestern. Typically it's like full student groups will paint it. So they'll camp out in shifts. It's not usually one person sleeping outside for 24 hours, but even in the dead of winter, you will see a tent up at the rock at least twice a week, waiting for it to be painted. And you said 2, right? Okay, so I guess a second one would be, there's this thing called Primal Scream, which is every week or every quarter right before exam week starts. I think it's like 8 p.m. on Sunday night before exams start. Everyone screams as loud as they possibly can for a minute just to let out all their steam. And it's like a silly tradition, but it's been very fun to just like, even in the quiet section of the library, people will just stand up and scream for the minute, and then they'll sit back down as if nothing ever happened. But it's a way of coming together as a campus and being like, we're all very stressed that it's finals, but also we're going to do this ridiculous thing because we're all in it together.
Thank you, Natalie. Those were great examples. Margo, can you speak a little bit more about the study abroad opportunities on campus and your experience with study abroad?
Yeah, absolutely. So study abroad is something that's very close to my heart because I actually went abroad to London fall of junior year. And study abroad was kind of always one of those things that I thought I wouldn't be able to partake in. I think a lot of people have the notion that if you're studying something like STEM related or with really specific class requirements, it can be really hard to get those credits to transfer. And if you want to graduate within 4 years, studying abroad just doesn't work quite as easily. So I kind of always went into college thinking that. But then once we got to like end of sophomore year, my twin sister, who's also at Northwestern, was like, okay, I'm going abroad. I'm so excited. I'm going to Paris, France. And she was just talking about it so much that I was like, oh my God, I can't not go abroad at this point. Like, I really want to go. So at that point, I went and met with a study abroad advisor who was able to sort of talk me through the requirements, what I had left. And I realized that study abroad was actually very, very feasible for me, given that I chose the right program. And as a little bit of backstory information too, like I didn't choose my major very early on at all. I kind of like played around with different things my freshman year too. So like I had a bunch of credits to spare either. But yeah, so I met with my study abroad advisor, met with my academic advisor, and both of them were able to sort of piece together a couple of programs that would work really well for me and allow me to still graduate on time, still get credits towards my engineering major, and not fall behind. So if study abroad is at all something that you guys are interested in pursuing during college, don't at all let your perceptions of what study abroad should or shouldn't look like sway you from pursuing it. It's an awesome time. It's really one of those great opportunities that you just can't get outside of college. I think about a third of Northwestern students do choose to study abroad at some point during their time here. And this does include summer programs as well. So if you are thinking like, oh, I have a couple of sequences that I need to get done junior year, maybe fall quarter isn't really the best for me, there are study abroad opportunities every quarter, including summer. So I highly, highly encourage everyone to meet with study abroad advisors. The office for study abroad is really, really good, and they have tons of advisors who will help you find a program that works really well for you.
Thank you. Ben, could you talk a little bit about some of the cost-effective or even free opportunities that are available for Northwestern students on campus to do for fun?
Yes. So we already talked about on-campus living and dorms, and that is probably one of the easiest ways to get like involved in free things and get free food. I was a part of the greenhouse when I was a freshman, so it was a like sustainable living conscious dorm. So we did volunteer trips to go out and buckthorn bust, I guess, is like an easy way to say it. But we also had munchies every Sunday. We had finals food where the exec board of the college, because a lot of these res colleges that have a theme to them, like say it's the communications res college or the greenhouse where I lived, they have an exec board that organizes and collects like a fee from the university to buy the stuff for you. So you just fill out a form and then you get like a free Chipotle order before finals, which is amazing. And I think another way to participate in free things is our athletics. So with your wild card, you can go to any sporting events, whether that be volleyball or football or basketball, for free. We also have a lot of student groups that put on free opportunities for students every year. For example, Dillo Day is free to everyone, and it's basically a huge music festival where, and you get another wristband for a guest. So if you want to bring like a best friend from home or something, that's a great opportunity for them to visit you at college, and you guys get to attend this huge music festival. Usually have about 5 artists. I know last year we had A$AP Ferg, we had Teyana Taylor, we had Hippocampus, we had Dea. It's amazing. I know if you're also into music, there's other concerts that are usually free that are put on by A&O Productions, or there are speakers that are usually free. Sometimes it is like a $5 ticket that you have to secure on a website, and that's very low cost. Also, performances are super affordable. There are organizations like Meow, which does stand-up, sketch, and music comedy. We have Titanic, which is another long-form improv comedy group, and those are all $5 at the door, just cash. And so there's a lot of opportunities that are all very low cost to students or free to students. It's just a matter of kind of finding them, and there's always a listserv that sends out activities, organizations like NU at Night and whatnot, that will inform you of these, opportunities to go and see these shows, or go and see a football game, or go and, whatever it may be.
Thank you, Ben. Another opportunity for events and another aspect of like living and social life on campus is Greek life. So Chris, would you mind talking a little bit about the presence of Greek life on Northwestern's campus?
Sure. Yeah. So Greek life on campus is a little different here than I would say at a larger state school, and that Greek life is a thing. We have it here. We have PHA, IFC, and then the multicultural Greek organizations, as well as National Pan-Hellenic. So we have tons of organizations, but unlike many campuses, it's not the only thing that people are involved in. So something that we like to say that stands out for Northwestern students is that you can be involved in Greek life, but you're also involved in maybe an extracurricular theater group or a sports team, whether that be club or varsity, or different honors organizations within schools or within different subjects like medicine. And it's so great because the thing about Greek life here, which is definitely, I think we say that around 40% or a little under, I might be mixing up the percentage now, but less than half of the students are a part of it. And what you see is for PHA and IFC, they have space on campus where usually students who go through the rush experience live in their building during their second and maybe third year. And that also counts as fulfilling the on-campus living requirement for all Northwestern students. But something else that's very unique about any Greek organization on campus is that recruitment happens during winter quarter at the very beginning, which I know if you've always heard of the like stereotypical Greek experience, you might be confused. But the reason why Northwestern does that is because Northwestern believes that students should be able to get acclimated to the campus, their living situation, and sort of find different organizations that they want to be a part of during the fall quarter, so that they can go into the Greek experience if they so choose, knowing that like they're also doing something else. Something else that I think is really great that talking about like affordability, Northwestern is able to support its students through the Office of Student Affairs by providing different scholarships and stuff. If there's a student who wants to participate that might not be able to due to financial reasons. But it's just a part of campus. There are so many other ways to find community outside of Greek life, which is why we don't have as many students in it, but definitely a valid option.
Perfect, thank you. And then, Margo, would you mind talking a little bit about the Northwestern winter?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, I just want to start by saying it's really not as bad as I thought it would be personally. I'm from Portland, Oregon, which is like very temperate weather. It gets a little bit cold, but like we're talking maybe 40s if it's a particularly chilly day, which, as you'll know if you've ever been to the Midwest or been to Chicago, is pretty mild. I don't know. I really think Northwestern winters is one of those things that sounds scary until you get here. Just buy a parka that covers your butt, and then you're kind of good to go. And honestly, like I love Northwestern winters. The lake is so beautiful that time of year. Like I'm still walking to all my classes. I thought I was like, oh my God, am I gonna have to like take the campus shuttle to all of my classes because I can't handle the cold? And like on particularly cold days, we will run a frostbite shuttle that will like run way more frequently than the buses typically do. That can get you in between your classes, so you don't have to walk outside. But I've found myself using that way less frequently than I thought I would. So overall, really not bad whatsoever. Get a big coat, get a hat, buy gloves. I didn't own gloves until college, and you're really good to go.
Perfect, thank you so much. And then Natalie, what is one unique quality or a word that you would describe Northwestern students with that is maybe something that's unique that you wouldn't normally find at other institutions?
I think I would say passionate. And what I mean by that is that every single person I know at Northwestern has something or many things that they're just so excited about. And if you're talking with another Northwestern student, they might have something completely different from you that they're excited about, but both of you will just be like so excited to hear what the other person is passionate about. And it's just like everywhere you go, people aren't like, oh, you do religious studies? That's weird. They're like, oh, tell me about why you like that. And it's just a really nice environment to be in, of people who are, even if it's not what you're passionate about, they're passionate about something, and everyone's like excited to be there.
Great. So that is all of the main questions that we're going to get to today. But one last question for all of our panelists before we end today. I just want to ask everyone why they chose Northwestern, because everyone has a different reason, a different experience. So I'm going to start with Alexis, and then Alexis, you can just pass it to the next person.
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm just asking why Northwestern.
Easy one. Gotcha. So Northwestern for me, actually, it was quite a story. So originally I was like set to go to California for school. And realistically, it was too far for me. I'm from Miami, Florida, so going completely across the country was a little bit too far away from my family. And so I started looking for different places to go. Eventually stumbled upon Chicago, loved the city, visited Northwestern, and I was completely sold. My tour guide was incredible. And I walked around campus on a beautiful sunny day. It's not what it looks like every day, but it was beautiful that day. And he just knew everyone. Everyone was saying hello to him, and everybody just looked so happy. Did some more research, and that's really what sold me, was that people said that generally people were really happy at Northwestern, and that was for me really important because I wanted to make sure that I was going to be happy throughout college. So that's what I would say.
Natalie, Natalie, do you mind going next?
Yeah. Mine's a little specific to my major, but I knew I wanted to study theater, but I knew that I did not want to audition for an acting conservatory because I wanted to be able to branch out beyond just acting. And I didn't want to audition to go to college. That didn't feel right for me. So at Northwestern, I've been able to take classes in production design, acting, playwriting, directing, and I've done all of those things outside of classes. I directed a full-length play this year. I would not have been able to do that if I'd gone to a conservatory. Next year I'll be in a year-long playwriting sequence class, and it's just really like broadened my options of what I want to do in the theater industry. And in addition, I was able to add a second major. I didn't know it was going to be religious studies when I started at Northwestern. I just knew I probably wanted to add one. And all I had to do was sign a form. And then I had this second major, and like I've been able to do both, even though they don't align with each other pretty much at all. So it's just been really nice to be able to study what I knew I wanted to study while also getting to broaden what I want that to be all the time. Ben, want to go?
Yes, I got you, Natalie. So my why Northwestern statement would be, I looked at the chat, I saw someone from Edina, and you probably know the whole like cycle of people that come from like the Minneapolis, St. Paul, like go to the University of Minnesota, get their degree, move out to the suburbs. It's like a cycle. And I really wanted to break out of that bubble and like realize that the world is a heck of a lot bigger than where I had grown up for the past 18 years of my life. And so I applied to Northwestern on a whim. And that senior spring break, I bought a bus ticket, went down to Evanston, and I just walked around campus. And similar to Alexis, I just talked to people. And I would go up to just random students and say, you know, should I go to college here? Why should I go to college here? And everyone that I talked to, and this was an experience that I had at no other institution I went to, was willing to sit down and have like a 10-minute conversation about the pros, the cons, what they like, what they didn't like. And for me, that honesty and that openness and that collaboration just spoke so much to the culture that's on campus and the students that Northwestern attracts. And I was just, it was like, no question, I have to go here. And since coming to Northwestern, I think that decision or that reasoning has changed, because I've gotten to know so many people that would not have half of the opportunities that they have today if not for Northwestern, if they did not come to Northwestern and meet the people that gave them those opportunities and worked with the people that, you know, created this invention that they now have a patent for, or, you know, networked with them and got them this job post-graduation that they absolutely love because it was their passion and they turned it into their, you know, career. So for me, I think it's that kind of appreciation for just how cool, like, and diverse the people that like come into Northwestern and those angles and viewpoints are, and the amount of opportunities that these people like would, and I would never have had otherwise. I'll pass it on to Margo.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, so for my why Northwestern, I think mine had very little to do with the academics, actually. Like my senior year when I was looking for different schools, I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to study. Like, didn't know if I wanted to go into like STEM, arts, like econ, like literally had no clue whatsoever. So for me, picking a college was less about the programs that were going to be offered and more about the community that I would be around for 4 years. Because I knew like I'll find a major that I like and that'll be that. But obviously, like while you're taking classes and learning really cool things for 4 years, you're also in one particular community with the same people for 4 years. And so that's a super important part of your life and something that I cared about a lot. So Northwestern was just one of those schools that like checked off all of the check boxes, I guess, that I had for school. It was like mid-size, academically rigorous, far enough from home, but not too far. So I just ended up applying and I was like, all right, like I'll visit if I get in and like check it out and see what I like. So when I visited the spring of my senior year, I came here with my sister, and similarly to both Alexis and Ben, took a tour. And then after that, again, it was a beautiful sunny day. We all got lucky with that, actually. Walked around campus and just like saw a bunch of people walking around, and we're like, oh, hey, like we're here for admitted students weekend, and like just walking around and wanted to talk to some people. And genuinely so many people were willing to just like stop in their tracks, like be a little bit late to class and just like chat with us for several minutes about like what they loved about Northwestern. And the thing that stuck with me most was that like I was not expecting students at such a like quote unquote prestigious and like academically rigorous school to be so down to earth. That was something that I was sure just wasn't really going to be the case. And it was very, very true. Like people were just so down to earth, like such genuinely good people who were fun to be around. Which wasn't something that I necessarily expected, but was something that was really important to me. So at the end of the day, I was like, I'll find something I like to major in here. Like, I don't really care about the programs that are being offered right now. Now I love the programs, let me just say. But yeah, the reason I decided to come here was strictly because of the people and the interactions that I had. All right, Chris, you want to finish us off?
Yeah, I feel like I have a unique story when it comes to why Northwestern. I had actually applied to college via QuestBridge, which is an organization that sort of connects low income and or first generation students to um, upper level colleges and supports them through the application process. So I actually had to rank universities, and because I was pretty low income growing up, I didn't have the chance to visit any universities before ranking them. So I kind of just based it off of what I saw on the websites. And I ended up ranking Northwestern and got in. And it was a binding decision similar to early decision, but I kind of base my why Northwestern now and explaining it as like a why I stayed at Northwestern, because I don't think I would have had as great of opportunities as I do or I did have during these past 4 years, between like the people who are absolutely incredible and I have lifelong friends, to the really cool classes that are so unique, but also you learn so much from them. But also, I don't know if there's any other school that allows people to and supports them through studying abroad multiple times, and getting unpaid internships, but being supported by the schools. And I got to do for my honors thesis research on memes, which, like, what school would allow you to do that? And Northwestern really just pushes people to follow their passions, their dreams, and supports them every step of the way. And I would not have done college differently, or gotten to a different school.
Well, thank you all. Those were amazing Why Northwesterns and also great examples of how you could write your Why Northwestern when you apply. So that's going to wrap everything up for our time today. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a lot more videos coming out and a lot more previous ones that you're welcome to go back and watch. Additionally, you can register for future sessions. We have panels focused on certain areas of academics, information sessions, more panels just like this where you get to interact and learn from different students. But that is all we have for you today. Thank you all so much again for tuning in and spending your Wednesday with us. And we hope you have a great rest of your day. Go Cats!